Wait a minute, you're not Howard. What's up, Nick?
You're not Howard.
Neither of us are Howard. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Adobe Office Hours in the daytime. We have a new slot. If you are one of our regulars and you've watched this before, we're usually on at 2:30 on Fridays, but we have a new time here at 12 p.m. Pacific time every Friday. Nick, for all of our new friends, what is this show?
Yeah, welcome, first of all. Great to have you here during the daytime. It's always day for us, which is great. But we are here every Friday, and we've been here for almost 2 years now, a little over 2 years, kind of giving you guys great tips and tricks when it comes to all the apps, being a creative, leveling up your portfolio, being a better presenter.
Yes. Ooh, a little foreshadowing to today. So if you are watching this on replay on YouTube and you're like, who are these guys? Why are they talking so much? Hit Control Right. Control Right will send you over to the next chapter marker where we actually start the show. And we have a special guest. So Control Right, if you're watching the replay, if you're live, you're stuck with us. So yeah, Office Hours happens every Friday and we're here to help you level up. If you want to join our community, you can do so right down there, discord.gg/ACC. This will be our new time going forward. So we'll be here every Friday until the new year, and then we have more surprises for you. So
yes,
today we have a very special guest, and we're talking about how to present your project. So we're going to bring on special guest just to intro because he's sitting in the waiting room. We're going to have him walk down the hallway. Raymond! He's walking.
I think he's still in the green room. He's in makeup, right?
Yeah, he's in makeup. Yeah, he's in makeup. All right. So hello,
big budget now, guys.
Our friend Raymond Alva. Hi, what's up, Ratberry?
What's up, guys? How's it going?
So good,
man.
So
thanks for joining us.
Do you want to go ahead and intro? Oh yeah, sorry. I'm literally just talking over everybody. we've got an hour. I don't know why I'm like putting the train on the rails, but we got plenty of time. Here, let's do this. For those that are watching live, ignore that this happened. For those that are watching the replay, you're not going to see this part. Here we go. All right, our chapter marker. Let's cut in right here to our moderator. He's doing our chapter markers. And cool. Thanks for skipping, everybody. You don't need to listen to us talk. All right, so we have a special guest on. His name's Raymond. Hi, Raymond. We're doing this again, man. If they skipped, they missed so much fun.
You got two introductions in one.
You got two.
Wow.
All right.
Special. Wow,
Raymond, go ahead, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Awesome. Well, first off, thanks for having me, guys. My name is Raymond. Some people like to call me Rap, which is short for Raymond Alva Photo, or short for Ratberry, which is a nickname that I got in 4th grade and has stuck ever since. So yeah, I am a photographer. I specialize working within portraiture and documentary work. Those are kind of like my two things. Right now, I work with a lot of musicians, doing a lot of album artwork, press photos, concerts, event coverage, documentation, kind of like that sort of vibe. And I also do a lot of personal projects, which lately that has looked like documenting skateboard culture and action sport culture. So
heck
wonderful.
Yeah. Which we're going to get into more of your work, but this is probably my favorite shot that Raymond's done. This is literally just like down the street from my house, and it's just rad. And you've embedded yourself really well in kind of the cultures that you like to shoot, and we'll get more into that. But today we're talking about presentation. So what we're going to do is we are going to have Raymond present his portfolio. Raymond, let's get real here. When did you finish this portfolio that you're going to be presenting to us?
You know, that's a great question, and I'm gonna have to say yesterday.
That's right.
Yeah, this is my reworked portfolio that I've been working on for the last couple days. With the help of Andrew, actually, he has been a great help in sort of sequencing and working on the pagination of this book. So yeah, it's very fresh. Haven't really shown anyone, so yeah.
I'm excited. Also, Raymond, can you point to the right real quick? Yeah, right there. Yep. So, if you guys want to know, my office is actually right there where he's pointing. I'm right over on this side. I'm not there right now, but that's where my office is. Raymond and I share an office, and so it's been cool to watch him kind of develop this. But that's our first point is you don't have to be prepared for a pitch as long as you're ready for it, right? As long as you're ready for when it happens, you don't necessarily have to spend a bunch of time or feel like you're super like locked in days before. As long as you're ready by the time it comes, you're good to go. Don't stress about it.
Yeah.
And yes,
a lot like this show.
A lot like this show. Yes. Someone in our live chat is saying faux leopard. Yes, that is a leopard print. We're here. Yes. All right. Raymond, we're going to let you take it away. If you want to go ahead and share your screen, we're not going to see Raymond's face during this. We're going to see his work. So, Raymond, if you want to share your screen and kind of give us the rundown.
Cool. Awesome. Here we go. We can see my screen.
Got it.
Awesome. Cool. So this is just, yeah. My name is Raymond. People like to call me Rap. And here's my portfolio. So, like I said, I shoot a lot of portraiture, documentary work. I think that this is a project that I've been working on for the last couple of years, called For What It Is, which pretty much deals or it revolves around the concept of skateboard culture and how people within skateboarding are not what people think, and you really have to spend time with them to really understand them and appreciate them for what they are, for who they are. That's where the title comes from, For What It Is. And so this is one of the guys who I've been spending a lot of time with. His name is James, with the Thrasher logo on his chest. So yeah. Like I said, I work a lot with musicians as well. This is an artist that I work with quite a bit. His name is Corey Henry. Works a lot does a lot of funk music, had a history in jazz and gospel. I've also done I like to incorporate a lot of collage work, different elements apart from just taking the photo, but whether that's a physical collage, a digital collage. This is a artist who I've worked with before in the past. His name is George Brown, who is the drummer from the band Kool and the Gang. And so I like to work with a lot of different people who are artists, celebrities, skateboarders, and also my grandmother. This is my grandmother. We did a studio shoot a couple months ago, and I really just wanted to capture her. And if you know my grandma, this is her.
This is probably sorry, this is probably my favorite shot and my favorite shoot that you've done because it just captures the personality so well. I love the shot. All right, sorry, continue.
Yeah, yeah. If you know my grandma, this is her. She speaks how she wants. She does not care what you think. But she is someone who is also growing up, she was at every single one of my basketball games, every graduation. She shows her love in different ways than usual grandmas, which I appreciate a lot. This was a part of a album listening party that I got to capture. There were a lot of very big artists there, and it was really cool to be able to collaborate with them on some work. Some more artist work. This is the jazz artist Kamasi Washington, playing the sax at a rehearsal a couple weeks ago, actually. So yeah, one of my favorite things about specifically working with musicians is the ability to blend my two favorite genres of photography into one. And like I said, that being portraiture and documentation and documentary work. And I think musicians do something incredible that I wish I was able to do. I wish I was able to make music, and translate thought into feelings through sound. And luckily, I'm able to help showcase their vision through a visual avenue, I guess. And so I love shooting shows and mixing that with the sort of experimentation that my portraiture has as well. Um,
Oh, that was weird. What a harsh transition. We crashed. We're back though. Also,
There we go.
in our new time, if you're watching us for the first time, we like to describe office hours as your favorite dumpster fire.
Every Friday.
Yes, we had some tech issues, but we're back. Raymond, all right, we're good.
awesome.
Raymond,
Continue.
take it away. Oh, why are you not working? All right, we're going all. Oh, this is going to be a fun time. All right, Raymond, go for it.
Okay, awesome. Well, glad to be back, guys. Yeah, we're working through my portfolio right now if you're just joining in. And this is a shot that I got to capture a year, 2 years ago. I was documenting the destruction of our half pipe that we had in our backyard, which we had had for, I want to say 17 years or so, 15, 17.
Wow.
And this was a very big day for our family. We had a big, me and my brother's friends all came over. We destroyed the ramp. It was a big thing, and my dad barbecued after. And this is in the midst of all of that.
This is gorgeous stuff.
Thank you. And then we're ending it here. This is the last shot that I have in my portfolio, and this shot is actually in my kitchen at the time. This was right in the middle of my family renovating our kitchen, and I just figured this is the perfect spot for a photo shoot. And that's where this is right now. So,
Nice.
so yeah, that's my portfolio.
Heck yeah.
Thank you guys for watching, checking in. So,
Right.
yeah.
That was great. Cool. So, fantastic work. Amazing presentation. If you can stop the screen share, come back on
Yep.
so we can see your lovely, gorgeous face and that hair. We got to see the hair. All right. I think you did a great job presenting. Obviously, your work is amazing. And y'all, if you want to follow along, right over there at Rapberry, that is the tag on all the socials. And someone in our live chat, our friend Alex Casillas, is saying 10 out of 10 portfolio. Love it. I agree.
Thank you, Alex.
Nick, do you have any thoughts? Since we're talking about presentation today, we're going to give you some feedback, Raymond. Nick, do you have any thoughts on the presentation? Any feedback for the presented portfolio?
Sure. Yeah, I love each little picture he told a very brief story behind it. And I think that helps with the interpretation. It helps with what his goal was with each one. I think music is probably my favorite thing to see what a photographer can do. So I can only imagine what you're trying to do to capture each one of them. And I love that there was a continual thread through, I think, everything you have, yet individual personality shine in each one. So I think that's one of the hardest things for work to do, and maybe that could be something you can either say at the very beginning or at the very end to show like you've taken them on this journey, and then you remind them at the end that this, as different and as vast as my subject matters are, I still use these 2 principles or 3 principles throughout everything. And I think that makes me feel like, oh, okay, now I can, whatever I'm going to use you for or hire you for, you're going to bring that same touch to, but in your own way.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So my thoughts for you, and chat, let me know. Somebody said there was some audio thing. If there's still audio, let me know. Or if it's fixed, let me know. It's good on my end. So, it's your fault. Let me know in chat. All right. Okay, cool. So here are my notes. I got you a sticky note. It's very rare that I write notes, but you got a sticky. So I was watching for a couple things. So Raymond, you recently just graduated, right?
Yes, correct.
Cool. So the thing that I was watching for is I think a lot of students, if you're a student watching this and you're presenting, a lot of students talk about student projects, or they don't have the confidence and they'll be like, oh, I guess, or something like that, right? You want to have that confidence. And Raymond, you did a really good job at not doing that. You had one time that you said, I guess, when you were kind of landing things. But other than that, like you killed it on that confidence. And I think that like you obviously have the work to prove it, and getting that confidence, I feel like is such a hard transition when presenting, because you might be used to being like the student that's like, I don't know, I'm like doing this for a grade. But you have to like, no, you're like the real deal now. And yes, someone in our live chat saying recent grad. Yes, just recently graduated. The other thing that I loved is you did really great, reframes, right? We talk about not talking about student projects, and we talk about presenting as if it was like a real thing. You reframed the shoot with your grandma really, really well when you presented it, of like, we did a studio shoot with my grandma to capture her personality. And you didn't say like, oh yeah, like my grandma's really cool, and so I wanted to like take some pictures of her. So like it was like a personal project that I did. Like you sold it like somebody hired you to like take photos of your grandma. And so that was a really good pitch. I love the connection that you had to your photos and your work. So, to those watching, if you're presenting a project, presenting portfolio, it's great to sprinkle in that connection that you have because it shows that you care about it, right? If you can do great work, that's awesome. But if you care about the great work, then it makes it better. And the other thing that I loved that you did, which like didn't make for great like broadcast, but it's fantastic in the moment, is that you just like let your work speak for itself for like the end. I love that like we set it up, you gave us all the information we needed, and then there were 4 or 5 slides that we kind of just scrolled through that you let us like look at. And I talked over it because I was like, okay, it's quiet. But if I wasn't I would have stayed quiet and just like let that happen. And I love that like you have that confidence, because I think that when we think about having confidence presenting, we need to be like talking the whole time. But sometimes the work is like good enough to where you're like, no, my confidence is that I literally don't have to talk right now and you're still going to hire me. Like that's really cool. Did you have any, what were your nerves going into the presentation? How did you feel about it?
Yeah, well, all those tips or the things that you like and pointed out are really, those are incredible because those are things that I might not have thought about beforehand, but now going in, those are going to be on a checklist for me going into when I'm showing this book to clients or anything like that. So thank you for that. I think really sort of my thoughts going into it was whether or not the book was going to be long enough, if it was going to showcase exactly what I shoot and what I want to shoot. I think my previous portfolio was double in size. And so I really narrowed this one down, made it a lot more concise to exactly show a variety of what I can shoot, what I want to shoot, how I can shoot it, whether everything I shoot has to be lit or not, if I know how to light something, if I know how to pull the plug and not use any lights. I was really hoping that this book would showcase that I could shoot a broad range of people, young, old, male, female. And so those are kind of my thoughts going into showing this new book.
That's cool. Chat, if you have any questions for Raymond, go ahead and drop them in the chat right now. And I do want to kind of talk about that. I like that you're talking about kind of your work being less and like condensing that portfolio. And I think that like I'm in the same boat that when I'm presenting something, I feel like I need 900 slides to like, no, I need them to like understand every single thing. And I love that you got to that point where you're like, nope, it needs to be like streamlined and direct. Nick, do you do that in your presentations too, that you like try to condense stuff down?
It's so tough. You have such a responsibility to show what you think every step of the way is, and you got to think of it in their eye. You got to think of it in the audience. They're seeing it. You want to give them just enough because they don't know anything about this, but just enough. And I think you timed it well with each slide, that you were making sure we had just enough. And then, like you said, maybe there were a few words, very little. And I think that helps. But I think the best thing I can tell you did great was there's always the problem of a technical difficulty happening during, if you're on stage somewhere or there's audio visual problem. You handled it like a pro. Not only were you calm, you came back in and you said, welcome back, everybody. If you're just joining us, my name is, and you went right back into it. So
that was intentional to test you. That's 100% what happened.
I did not realize
everybody. We did have a question from chat, and then we'll let you actually we have 2 questions from chat, and then we'll let you go on your way, and Nick and I will tell you all the things that you need to know about presenting. So first question is, what's the hardest part about presenting your projects to the public or to potential clients?
What's the hardest part? I think really like that confidence that we were talking about earlier is something that's been an acquired sort of understanding of needing confidence. I know when I first started showcasing my portfolio, I didn't think I was necessarily had the work to be valued how maybe I would like it to be valued, but I didn't feel like it actually was valuable. And I think it really did take time in understanding that and building my own self-confidence, understanding that one, I like my work, but then 2, not everyone will like my work, and that's okay. I'm going into a portfolio review or a client meeting. The goal is that they like the work, but that's not necessarily the case all the time. And I think there's actually something really beautiful about when someone disagree, like not just doesn't like your work, but disagrees with your work. I know people always say that like the best art is one that like divides, whether someone like loves it or hates it. And so if someone hates your work, good job.
Yeah, you did it.
That's something to be celebrated, in a
Yeah,
way.
we worked on a project together before that like the intent was to make people mad, and like we totally did it.
Yeah.
And it's much more difficult to do than to make people like work. And somebody told me something that is just great advice that kind of piggybacks off what you said, is that it's better to be understood than to be liked. And so if somebody hates your work but they understand like what you're going for, like that's the win. You just want to be understood.
Yeah.
Love that.
All right, last question for you, Ray, and then we'll let you go. Ray. Why did I call you Ray?
So replace that Y with a P.
That's it, yeah. So which is more challenging? Oh, sorry, actually, that's not the question that I want. Where is it? The question I want, because you just graduated, how has the transition been for you from school into the industry, and what are the differences in how you present your work now when compared to when you were a student?
Yeah. Yeah, I think or going back, the question was what's the hardest part about the transition?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think I mean, I've been working with clientele for a couple of years now, ever since I've been in school. And so graduating, I was kind of in this mindset of I'll be fine. Like I've worked with clients before, like I'll totally be fine. And then the day after graduation hit and I was like, "Oh, none of this is for a grade or anything. Like this is like if I really want to make it as a photographer, it's up to me. It's up to me sending cold call emails to potential clientele. It's up to me actually putting myself out there. People won't be hitting me up necessarily. And so that was definitely something that I had to learn. And I think over the time, I've been sort of becoming more okay with that and being prepared in sort of, yeah, understanding that I need to actually do the work and it's not going to be handed to me.
Heck yeah.
And so that looked like actually this week redoing my portfolio on my wall in my office with the help of Andrew. And that was all because I felt like my portfolio was outdated. And because I'm going to be reaching out to clients soon, I need to make sure that this is the work that I'm happy about, stoked about, and I want to shoot.
Heck
So,
yeah. So thanks for joining us, Rap. If you could do me a favor, can you point like up to your right? Like right there. Okay, so everybody, somebody in the live chat just said, "Hey, I just subscribed to your channel and this is very helpful." Where Raymond's fingers are, if you hover over there, there will be a title. Click on that title and it will allow you to subscribe to Adobe Live. We want you to hit that sub button. And while you're at it, go ahead and go to Instagram, type in Rapberry and give a follow, leave a comment, let Rap know that you are coming over from office hours. Thanks so much, Raymond.
Yep.
We'll talk to you another time. Bye.
Thanks,
awesome.
man.
Thank you guys.
Bye. All right, that was
Awesome.
that was a grand old time. I love having people on the show, Nick. It's really is my favorite thing.
This has to be something we're talking about this for every pro series. I think this is a great idea. Yeah, for sure.
Yes, we might. Yeah, we're gonna try to do some more people on the show, which I think will be a fun time.
Totally great.
All right, so we're gonna do some behind the scenes stuff. Nick, can you talk a little bit about maybe actually I have nothing to stall with. All right, y'all gonna
I can talk about pro series.
Nick, you can
We
talk
haven't
about
even
whatever
talked
you
about
want
that.
right now. I'm gonna fix some
Yeah.
things on the back end, and
And
y'all.
if you can you refresh the?
That's what I'm
Discord?
working on. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
thank
can you guys, Nick, can you talk a little bit maybe about what we're gonna finish off today? Because there is more coming
Yes.
today. We did an interview, but there's more coming. What are we talking about?
around
for us
the
today?
the order a little bit today, and we wanted to do it
We
fresh
did.
with a presentation off the bat, kind of so you can get your thinking about what makes for a good presentation. What are those tips that we could do to kind of get better and better? So we're going to go through some slides here in a little bit and show you a few of our best tips and things that we found to really make you a fantastic presenter. And then after that, we're each going to try our hand at a quick little presentation as well.
Yep.
So great. We are good to go on the screen.
We're good. So I still don't have control of my scenes, which is just the funnest thing that we possibly could have. There we go. All right. So I do want to talk about something before we hop in.
Yes.
And for those of you that are skipping chapters, you can don't skip this chapter, but like you can skip this chapter if you want. All right. And I love, yes, we're in the pro series, but we are handling it like complete amateurs. All right.
What do you mean by this is unexpected, Chris? Are we not pros?
Yeah. You can see this as pros. So something that's coming up next week that you want to set reminders for is we are doing an Adobe Express Bootcamp. And it's not just showing you how to use Express, it's showing you how to use Adobe Express with other programs. So it's showing you how to use Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere, all of the programs that you use as creative professionals, how to use Adobe Express with those. So go to the site. It is going to be in chat. Wade, our moderator, will put it in chat, or you can just Google Adobe Express Bootcamp or adobe.com/event/bootcamp/express. We'll take you there. But go on over here, set a calendar reminder. I'll be live on Monday at 11:30 a.m. I'll show you how to use Illustrator with Adobe Express. So there's a ton of great content coming up. Make sure you set your reminders. Please, please, please come. If you do me one favor in the entire time that you've been watching Office Hours, please attend this, add it to your calendar, interact with this page in any way. It will make my life so much better.
It's like the genie wish. You only get one of those.
This is my one wish, guys. I've been broadcasting for 2 years. One ask from you, just one. All right, so excellent. Nick, let's go ahead and hop in and talk a little bit about some lecture, right? We love to do some lecture. We love to do some chats here on Office Hours.
Can't be a pro series without him, man.
Can't be a pro series without him. It's true. Let's go ahead and hop in and talk about how, this is the transition. Talk about the chapter marker of how to present like a pro. Yes. That's not the right screen.
Hey, you start with a blank window screen, everybody. See you next week.
Bye, everybody. All right, hold on. We're back. Here we go. All right, and so yes, someone's saying short office hours. No, we're actually doing the full hour. We just did it very differently today.
We're mixing it up, guys.
We are. We usually start with the lecture, but this time we're ending with our lecture. All right, Nick. Let's go ahead. Let's talk about how to present like a pro. We've got 5 tips for you about how to present like a pro. What is number 1?
All right. I saw a lot of people talking about this when Elizabeth was asking. It's those nerves. It's like the nervousness and the anxiety. How do you crush those things? The whole trick is to kind of twist it around and turn it into something positive. This nervousness before you talk, it's very healthy. It shows that you care. It shows that you want to do a good job. So use this nervousness to your advantage and channel it into the energy that you want to project about the topic that you're talking about. Like, I find this to be the best thing because I'd say 9 times out of 10, if I'm talking about something, it's probably something I'm really interested in or I'm really proud of or something I want to share with others like we're doing right now.
Yep.
So it helps for you to remind yourself of these things and then you're going to succeed.
Yep.
It's so perfect to think about. I do this almost every time because I still get nerves when it's something that there's a lot maybe on the line, you know?
Oh, 100%. So
yeah,
something that I learned that one of my old bosses taught me, and he basically, when he had an interaction, he would match the energy that the person was coming in with, right? That if somebody came up and he's like, hey, what's going on? He'd be like, oh my gosh, so good to see you.
Yeah.
Right? Or if they're like, hey, how are you? He'd be like, hey, it's going good. How are you doing? And so you would match that energy. And I think that goes for presenting your projects as well. If you come in with a confident, excited energy, they're going to subconsciously match that, right? So you need to come in with the energy that it's the greatest thing. I always say, pitch it like you stole it, right?
Yeah.
Give it to them like it's the greatest thing you've ever made. And even if they're not quite at that same level, they'll still like catch that energy and hopefully pick up on that, which I think is cool.
Oh, totally.
Something else that's great to do for nerves is to use those nerves to like get excited, right? Turn that into excitement. And I know this is like the weirdest thing to think about, but what you can do is fake it, right? And it says down here in the corner, it says, right, acting relaxed can help you make relaxed.
That's faking it, really.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. You can do the opposite as well. You can totally fake it and basically like pretend that you're excited, and eventually you'll actually just be excited, right? Nervous and excited are very close. And so if you just think, okay, I'm not nervous, I'm just excited for this, right? Eventually you'll be excited for this, right? Your mind's really easy to manipulate in those ways.
Oh, or even just taking those deep breaths before. I tell that to every one of my students when they present in class, is to sometimes that's all you need to do. It's like a recharge.
Yep.
And you get back to you, and you're not trying to be anything different.
Absolutely.
You know?
And here's another good thing is talking statements to yourself, not questions. So as you're prepping for it, it's not, am I ready? Like, is this going to be good? Like, do I need to change anything? Say in statements, right? You're like, I'm ready. Like, I think I'm good. I don't need to change anything, right?
Yeah.
Like, try to just reframe that stuff. So you're saying like periods at the end instead of question marks. And usually it will solve a lot of those problems, just stating them.
Yeah.
All right, next up,
number 2.
Start strong. Nick, walk us through this. Why do we need to start strong?
Okay. First of all, like you said, it's the very beginning. It's a new crowd. They probably haven't seen you present or the idea you're showing. So why not start strong? I think it's the best way. It's first impressions, really. Keeping that opening very, very simple and exciting. You want to show the engagement to the audience and your content. This is so good. And the best part about it is not only is it beneficial to the participants and the people in the audience, but it's really great for you. If you start strong and you get an instant response from the audience, you are gold. And I think that's the best kind of like anxiety breaker that you can imagine. So consider using a short icebreaker. It could be a question. It could be something to relate the topic to the participants and the audience. You want to explain the purpose of your presentation in one sentence. If you can't do that, you shouldn't be up on there talking about it. I think to me, that was my biggest the thing I had to get over, because I found I was blabbing so much nonsense because of the nerves.
Yep.
But the minute you give yourself a memorized one sentence of the purpose or the objective, man, you get over that hill and it's smooth sailing for the rest of the presentation. For sure.
Yep. And here's my secret weapon. This is my secret weapon. Y'all can take it and use it. Start your presentations by saying things that the client or person you're presenting to have said, because they can't, like, they are automatically on your side. Yes. So literally like, all right, so as I started working on this project, I really heard you say X, Y, or Z, right? When we were talking, you gave me this information and I've taken that, right? And just give them the things that they've said. And that lets them know I was listening, and they can't immediately be like, oh, I don't like this, or like his energy is weird, or like, oh, I don't know about this presentation. They're like, ooh, I love hearing things that I said. Like, I agree with myself 100%. And so repeat things that your client has said to them at the beginning of your presentation. It's just a really great way to make a kind of strong start.
And don't forget, your passion for what you're talking about is your best strength when it comes to you presenting.
Yes.
I've told this to any creative that gets the chance to present for themselves. Who better than to present than you? You came up with this idea. This is your baby. Just like what we saw with his photography. It's like, there's no one else. So put that out of your mind.
Yep.
But your passion for what you did is going to be the best part. Think of any presentation you've seen, and if the person showed that passion, you felt it too.
Yep. Absolutely. So next up, design rules. Incorporate universal design principles to clearly address the objective to the participants, right? So this isn't just like, look at my thing, right? You kind of have to build something around that thing. You have to design the design almost, or whatever you're presenting. And Nick, what are some ways that we can do that?
Okay, so remember, who are you presenting to? Are you on stage and there's a lot of copy, there's a lot of stuff on there? You want to make sure words and things that are on there are brief and large fonts. Obviously, they're there for a reason, right? So you want to make sure that's that. You don't want to have big blocks of paragraphs. That's not why we're doing a presentation. Using anything that has multimedia, such as videos or motion or movement, could really be engaging as well. Tell your story with your design. I think I try to hide one thing in there that's something that might be subliminal or might even be like quite obvious. But I love to do something in my presentations that show a bit of a beginning, middle, and end. And then don't overcomplicate or work on these slides. Look at what we just saw. We just saw photography at its rawest. It was just on white, beautifully cropped. I noticed he kind of moved things around. Sometimes it would fall on the right, sometimes it fall on the left. That to me is what is the most important thing. You're not overcomplicating and you're letting your design really speak for itself. Love this tip. I hear and I forget, I see and I remember.
Ooh,
just love that. Like,
I love that. That's
me,
down in the corner. Screenshot that, y'all.
Yeah. Sight is the number one thing. Let your slide or your visual accompany what you are presenting. You are still the star. You're standing in front of it. you never look behind you and turn your back to the audience. It's there to support what you're saying. And saying, I think, to me, is fantastic, but it's always about what they're going to see.
Absolutely. And I love the example, right, that we're thinking of case studies and these big flashy presentations. And then Raymond gave us the perfect kind of example of that it's like, here's my photography. It's one shot on a page. This is what it is, right? Sometimes the presentation, less is more.
Well, that's his job. And it's like, I'm glad you brought that up, because it's like, he shouldn't have fancy, flying things coming in. And if anything, he could have, maybe the name of the subject and who they are. And then when he says it and it's there too, that could be a beautiful kind of combination, but he doesn't need more. Like, I just know with what I present, there's got to be a lot more content strategy and story. It's depending what is your media, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
So next up, you want to delight the audience. This is actually my favorite thing about presenting, is giving these moments of excitement, right? That you have it all planned out and you know where you're going, and you just lead them to that exciting moment, and then you give them the payoff, right? You can set it up, and it's like being a magician, right? You set up the trick, you have all the pieces, you know exactly what they're going to do, but they don't know that it's all set up and that they're going to get this moment, right, that you're trying to give to them. So you want to talk to your audience, not at them, right? Have a conversation. Don't just like say things, right? Listen, adapt to what they're saying. If you see that they're not fully engaged, if they're not feeling delighted, maybe change the way that you're speaking. Maybe change up a point, skip a slide, right? Move through so that you have that delight constantly. Project enthusiasm, we talked about that. Never read your presentation word for word, as I read this presentation word for word.
Except for that line, right?
Exactly, yes, exactly. And someone in our live chat, great insight. They'll remember how you made them feel. Yes, so a lot of times it's not about reading word for word, it's about giving them the idea, and like they're gonna look at that deck anyways. If you're sending it to them, you don't need to read it all. Incorporate real life experiences into your presentations. Raymond did a fantastic job of that. And use natural gestures and voice inflections to add interest. You like that? Little extra interest. Add interest. Add some interest. Nick, do you have any other thoughts on this idea of delighting the audience?
I think where you can fall short is that pro tip. If you apologize for something, you've felt like you've almost kind of given them a reason to be like, I'm sorry I let you down on this, or apologizing for a skill not being quite there or something. Removing that from there, sticking to the positives and this idea of delighting them and giving them something to remember. Variety. I think that thing about natural gestures in your voice and inflections are a great thing. I think I never did that before. And until I started talking more and more, I find I do that now in my everyday, all the time. Taking pauses. I think you're right. You don't want to be this through the whole thing. Give a lift, give a drop. I think that's kind of the best way to look at it.
And there's nothing wrong with like having a moment of silence. And again, Rap showed us right? That it's like, it's just quiet right here for a second. It's not awkward. Like, we're just looking at the work and we're both having like an emotional connection to the work. We're both just taking it in. Like, we don't have to be talking the whole time, right? Unless you're doing a live show, then you have to be talking the whole time.
I love someone mentioned having a problem of reading the slides word for word. I think that's a natural thing you're going to do if there's nerves, but also if you don't know the topic enough to be up there talking about it. So you should know it enough, and you should never have the big paragraph on a screen behind you. What I like to do is have headlines and the visuals, and in my headlines, I bold certain words that I know I have to hit. And then that way I'm going to say it from my heart and from my memory rather than reading it from something. We've all sat there and someone goes to a next slide and there's 14 paragraphs and they start reading from the very top. You're tuned out. So find ways to get around that.
Oh, I wish I had... Man, I don't know where it is, but I give a design talk, and it's basically on this idea that you need to keep them constantly like interested. And the talk basically, it has whatever's on the slide and whatever I'm talking about, but then the bottom right, I have like a caption that shows what's on the next slide, right? So that if somebody's looking at that slide and is like, oh, this is boring to me or whatever, it's like, I'm not going to lose you. I'm going to give you a preview to what's coming, and you look forward to that next slide.
I guess if you need it and you know for some reason, I think that'd be a great backup. If I was feeling like, ooh, I'm not entertaining this crowd, like having that would be a good little point.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. And we do have something before we go on to our next point. Someone in our live chat has a question that is off topic. And guess what our favorite thing is here on Adobe Office Hours?
Questions.
Off topic questions. So Nor Graphics says, hey, I know it's a bit off topic, but I am a new UX designer and need some expert who will review my designs and give me feedback. What should be my best step? Where can I find someone? Well, we've got some great Discords for you. Our moderator, Wade Acuff, is going to drop a link to our UX Discord. You can hop in there, post some work, ask for feedback. There are always mentors. There are people in there to give you feedback, and always reach out on social media to the people that you respect. Usually they're willing to just like hang out. All right.
Find the person that you admire.
Speaking of Discords,
there it is.
Discord.gg/ACC. If you want to hang out with us in our Discord, if you want feedback from us, why not? Drop your work into the Discord for our Adobe Creative Careers. Nick and I will give you feedback. Why not? Sure. We're neither of us UX designers, but we'll give you our thoughts.
I think that's a better review.
It's true. We'll tell you about our user experience with your user experience.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about our last thing, and that is getting interactive with your presentations. Nick, what are we doing here?
Yeah, okay, so this could be just you and your interaction with the group in front of you. It's that asking a question. It's asking if they've ever experienced something like this. Have you done something like this before? Has this ever happened to you? There's a way you can bring them in. And even if you just get a few head nods, I think that's really a great confidence booster when you're up there. So avoid just going up there and doing your thing. Think of this as remove the word presentations and call them discussions, call them roundtables. It takes a lot of that pressure off you, but again, it does make a lot of that interaction happen. So it's not just you doing all the talking. That's why I don't even call what I do in my class a lecture. It's our discussion time. And I think it actually helps me a little bit, but I think it makes them realize they are participating in some way here. And always allow for plenty of time for questions. You might not think there might be. I think the times I didn't think there'd be one question, there were like an hour of questions.
Yep,
right?
Absolutely.
And it goes the opposite.
There have been times, and this is a pro tip, if you're presenting with a team and there's like conversation happening, be listening. We're back.
Hey, there we are.
I don't know, y'all. I don't know.
Okay.
We are. We're back. I don't know what happened.
No worries. We got a lot going on here, guys. Andrew's juggling about 14 different computers and 18 screens. So
it's true. I wish you guys could see the setup here. All right, we're back. So what I was going to say is I have presented with teams before. And if you have like a live presentation, I have presented with teams before. And if you have like a live presentation, I have edited presentations as it's happened, right? So the client will be like, oh yeah, we like really love this ad that we saw that like had all this cool like blue stuff on it, right? And I'll be like, oh shoot, like all our stuff is yellow, and I'll go in and like throw a blue filter on it or something, right? That if you can get that live interaction, it is magic.
Yeah,
magic.
That's great. That's great. Again, it's got to be two-way here. It just can't be you and seeing a stale audience in front of you. Change it up, mix it up.
Change it up, mix it up.
Mix it up.
Mix it up, change it up. And the last one that we want to talk about is end strong. Nick, why are we ending strong?
I would love to end strong. I just don't have that screen up on my thing. We're frozen again. There it is.
As we said, this is your favorite dumpster fire.
If you can get it on the live stream, I can catch that. Let's see.
Yes. All right. So we'll get it up on the live stream. Nick is going to cover this one. While Nick covers this one, I'll go through it. All right. So end strong. You want to summarize. You want to have a recap. Usually if you're presenting a project, you want to have a screen that has everything on it to give them just an overall look. And Benjamin Disraeli said, the greatest good you can do for another person is not just to share your riches, but to reveal to him his own. Oh, yeah. I love that.
Oh, isn't that a great one?
And
I love that so much.
Again, people are going to remember how you left them, right? So you want to make sure that when you finish your presentation, it is how you want to leave them and the last thing that you want kind of around in their brain. Nick, how do you usually wrap up your pitches?
I always sum up there's 3 things I want them to remember about a presentation. I usually try to make sure that's the case, right? And with that, I do want to reiterate it at the end one last time in maybe a different way. Show the value of what they got out of this presentation. Was there a takeaway? And make sure there's a very clear and spotlighted conclusion. I hate when it's like you end and then it's like, is that you? They have that look like, is that the end? Like you want to make sure there's a period at the end of this thing, and they go right into, okay, thank you so much, or whatever it might be.
Yep. Sweet. All right. So we have about 10 minutes left. And I think that I am going to present a project.
Go for it.
Nick, you can give me some feedback and thoughts, but I'm going to go through and show you all how I would present a project. This is a branding project that I don't think I've shown on stream before. I don't even think I have a case study for this up. I did this a while ago. So I'm going to give you the presentation as if I was presenting to a client. Nick, you can give me notes as we go, or we can kind of just roll through. So this is for a client. I'll give you the context. A client who is a beekeeper who is looking to start a honey business. This client came to me and my team and basically asked ground to ceiling, right? They had nothing. They want to start this company. They need logos, names, positioning, everything, right? And so here is how I would do that pitch. Chapter marker. I love doing the chapter markers. Sorry, Wade. All right, so
anytime Wade sees us do this, it's gonna be chapter marker.
All right, so Nick, you're gonna be the client, and I'm going to present to you. All right, here we go.
All right.
So while we're doing discovery and kind of talking with you, I could really feel the passion that you had for bees and the passion you had for their impact on the environment, and not only the bees, but the community that's around them, right? You like to source local honey. You wanted to make sure that the communities were being taken care of and that you were invested in these communities where your bees were, right? That it wasn't just about your plot of land where you had your hives. It was about that broader community and how you could invest and kind of become a local business. And so we talked a little bit about kind of some positioning. And as we talked and investigated, I really wanted to make sure that we defined what you were and what you weren't. So we decided that you are crafted from what you said, but you're not combined, right? It's something that's very intentional, but not kind of thrown together. You're upscale, but not stuffy, right? That if we're talking about price point, we talked about it being a little bit higher, but we didn't want it to feel pretentious. You're simple, but not cheap, again, with that price point. But we want to say that there's not a lot of added ingredients. It's just the honey. You're essential, but not exclusive, right? It is kind of upscale, but it's not something that you can go without. And it's local, but not limited, which means that it is grown. You are in those communities, but it's not limited specifically to that area. So with that, and yes, sorry, someone in the live chat saying, so start with a summary. Yes, great. So with that, back into the pitch. So with that, we decided that we wanted to come up with a tagline to kind of inform the positioning of this whole project, from names to logos to everything we communicate. And we decided, by bees for us, right? It's equally about the bees and the community, right? It's what the bees can do for us, but also what we can do for the bees, right? That we can invest in these communities. We can grow just like a colony of bees. We are growing our own colony together as people. So this is a little positioning, talking about why the by bees, a little bit about for us. You can read that kind of on your own time. But with those combined, we really started to take that idea of the communities of bees and people coming together, and we looked at the colony, which is where everything comes together, but then also taking care of that colony, investing in that community. And so we came up with the name Colony and Keeper, right? It is us together, that we are working with the colony and we are the keepers of that, right? We are keeping and growing our communities, but we also are keeping and growing these hives and making that honey. And so this is the logo mark that we wanted to present to you. And as you've seen through the presentation, we've been working kind of through the color schemes. We wanted something that felt rich, but also approachable. We wanted a cool tone to really contrast with the golden amber of that honey that makes a pop. So as we continue here, there are a lot of different marks that we would use that could kind of overlay, and we wanted to show the interaction. So you'll see a lot of colors that are multiplying to make new colors, and that's really showing that and, right? The additive of that it's both about the community and the bees, right? By bees for us, we're showing that connection by multiplying these colors to make some new tones and kind of showing these overlays. So you can see here how it will roll out on social media. We can highlight communities, still use those colors, and really have an approachable look. Using our typography, we're using typography that is softer, that is bold, that has a very friendly tone to it, so that we can very easily connect with our audiences. So we have a secondary mark here that is the combination of those two things, that it is the colony and the keeper, kind of bringing together that keeper uniform that you would see kind of out throughout the day, but also the colony. We're putting the hive in there. And so this would be a secondary mark that we could use in patterns, we could use on packaging as kind of an extra piece of the project. So with that, I wanted to kind of sum up colony and keeper. It's all about the connection between the communities of bees and the communities that it's invested in. We also could expand as we start to make new products. We have honeys, we could do hair creams, we could do body scrubs, a little bit of everything. And these are kind of possibilities of what we could explore with this brand as we build it. So in conclusion, we wanted to create a place that people could find their colony with Colony and Keeper. They could find local honey, they could get healthy, they can invest in their communities and kind of just have a better project that is by the bees and for all of us. And scene. So thank you. Nick.
There we go.
Thoughts? Point out things, give me the rundown. What did we think about the presentation?
It made me think of how hard it is to be on the client side of a presentation too, with everything I've ever presented. It's so crazy to be on that side and kind of get the spin, right? Get the sale. I'd say number one, I love that everything had rationale. Everything had a source to seed the idea. And then you showed that in every level of what the creation was and the development of it. I feel like from the very beginning to the right about the middle when it was revealed, there was a step-by-step kind of tour how we get there. And I think that's really important as well. And then at the end, you showed possibilities beyond their request. And I think that's always great to show where else they could get to with you as their partner.
Yes.
Every time you've done a logo for someone, the first question they'll be like, okay, we're all done. Do you know someone who could do packaging? And you're like, why did I not tell them that we can do this and we can do that and we can do that? So it's great to show all that. And then I think your ending slide makes me feel like how Apple presents now a new product, and they do this summary tile page
here's all
where
the
it's
things.
kind of like a grid of all of the highlights. And again, not only is that a summary, but it's like a wonderful pow to go like, look at everything I've given you. Like we thought of everything.
Absolutely.
Right?
So I did this present, and I did a couple things, and I want to show you their website of how I haven't interacted with Colony Keeper since we pitched it years and years and years ago. So I want to show you their website, one, so you can get some honey, and two, so you can kind of see how they've implemented it with that positioning. But something that I did in the pitch, my number one tip for presenting a project, plant ideas in their head before they see it. So if you watch back or watch the replay or rewind or whatever, you can see that I said the word colony like 4 or 5 times before we even talked about the name, right? I was talking about the colony of bees, like the colony that you're a part of as you grow and invest in community, right? And so you start to plant those ideas, and then it reveals, you want it to feel like, oh yeah, of course, right? You don't ever want it to be like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. It's like, oh yeah, of course it should be this, right? So this is how they've implemented. I haven't seen their website in forever, and so this is my first time looking at it. But it's just colonyandkeeper.com, I believe. Let me double check that. Colonyandkeeper.com. But you can see that we positioned, handed out files, and this is how they've taken it, right? They have all of those things that I promised them have been delivered. And so that's a big part of, look at the labels. I made these.
There you go.
So
the honey dripping on the lid too.
Right. It's good. The photography we worked with is amazing here. But this is what you want, is you want to be able to, right? I just gave you the pitch, and in theory, none of that was real yet, but then we come here and it all has landed, right? I promised something that I could deliver and that felt attainable, right? And so we don't look at the website and be like, it's completely different because the pitch wasn't attainable. It was all stuff that felt attainable. And then we go to the website and it can be obtained, right? We've done it. And we have 1 minute left, Nick.
Yeah.
Wade has a question. What could I improve on? Give me one big thing.
Ooh, I think you could have put me right more in there with if there was motion, if there's a little sound.
Yes.
I think to hear like the rustling of outdoors or something in a certain area there too, or having a bee start kind of like moving or something, or creating the logo.
Absolutely.
I know that's a wish you and I both wish we could do more of, but I'd say that would be the only thing to kind of give me more of the feels that you did plant. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
No
So I do, let's see if I have this file somewhere. Oh no, I don't know where it is. Hold on, I have it right here. Okay. So I did have motion in the original presentation. Let me show this real quick. So I had an animation for that colony and keeper coming in that it kind of overlaid through. But yes, adding animation is a great way to up the way that you present.
Yes.
And that's all we have for today. My goodness, we did a lot today. Great show, everybody.
Yes.
Go check out our Adobe Express Bootcamp that starts next week. Set your reminders. There'll be a link over in chat. And Nick, give us some inspiration going into this weekend. It's been a long week. What do we got, Nick?
Oh, man. I would say take with what we talked about a little bit too and practice a few of your own presentations. I think doing it, recording yourself in private is great. You got nothing to worry about. See how you do. I think we do that all the time. I do it before any presentation.
Yep, absolutely. So we'll see you next week for another episode of our Pro Series right here at 12 p.m. Pacific time until the end of the year.
Let's have lunch.
Let's have lunch. Ooh, let's eat and stream next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.